Hey y'all, welcome to the Rooted in Israel podcast. This is Susanna Schild, and today we're going to take you on a journey to one of the most beautiful freshwater springs in the Jerusalem area. Let's do it.
Morning.
Really good morning. Good early morning.
Very early. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know that anybody has ever gotten here this early. Why don't you tell us where here is?
Here. Today we are at Ein Sapir. It's a beautiful spring, as they all are, always beautiful, and near Jerusalem.
Right.
And it's part of the Springs Trail, which I think is one of our really longtime favorite trails.
Around Jerusalem for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the first ones we discovered. We actually discovered it in the wintertime, so we didn't get to enjoy the springs when we discovered it, but it's really nice. There's caves along the way also, and I think we went the first time on a rainy day, so we got to enjoy the caves.
Right. Yeah.
This is a cave too. This is basically, I'm pretty sure the last spring in a procession down the mountain of springs.
Right.
Not everybody makes it all the way to this spring when they hike the Jerusalem Springs Trail, because this one is inside of a yishuv, but it's really cool inside this cave. Really has a Pirates of the Caribbean vibe when you go deeper in. And I think this is our favorite spring of all the springs on the Spring Trail.
Yeah.
So that's how we find ourselves here today.
And what's amazing about this one is that literally the spring is within a cave. So there's a wide opening over here, which I guess our viewers cannot see right now, but there's a wide opening to my left, which brings you out. And actually the water starts to go in some sort of, sort of directed way, which at one point was used for agriculture. But then towards our right, there's like just a dark cave.
Yeah.
And probably about 15 meters in is the source of it. About 50 feet or so is the source of it. The water right now is probably about a half a meter deep where we are.
Not too cold.
Not too cold, even though it would, on a hot day, it's very refreshing.
Yeah. Also because it's in the shade.
Yeah, and it's in the shade. And one of the things, I mean, there's really a few things that are amazing about this place, just even without knowing anything else, just the area, this cave, water in a cave. I mean, what could be better than that? What could be cooler than that?
We totally plan to go in after we record this.
Yes.
I've got my bathing suit on underneath here, and I'm going to add my other bathing suit on top of that.
Fantastic.
We are going to brave the waters and get to the end of the cave.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're noticing that there are fish that people have put in here.
Yeah.
What the colorful ones? What are they?
These are all goldfish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
these are all goldfish.
big goldfish.
Really big goldfish. There's some little ones too.
Right.
I guess the local people just decided it would be more fun with fish in it, and it is.
Yeah. Very colorful, very cool. These are like the fish. Remember at the zoo we used to have that fish pond. Yeah. So there's a few things. Number one is that people don't necessarily think about water when they think about Jerusalem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
hiking, which is, I just want to add, such an incorrect view of Jerusalem. I think if you look at a map of Israel, like a hiking map of Israel, I think the most like thick network of trails is around Jerusalem.
It's gonna be
in the
around
Jerusalem Mountain, Jerusalem Hills, Jerusalem Lowlands.
It's
they're
never
so
ending.
big that you can just go one to another. Even though we've been here and hiking for so many years, we're constantly sort of discovering new trails just by connecting new things.
Right.
They don't think of trails when they think of
Jerusalem. People don't think, and also,
they think of holy sites.
A lot of people arrive at Jerusalem in a car, so they don't realize that really it is a mountainous area.
Right.
In meters, Jerusalem itself is probably like around 850 meters above sea level.
Yeah.
And so it has elevation, it has altitude. But certainly, a lot of visitors come in the summer. They don't think about it as having water. Let's say the water is towards the coast there's a beach in Tel Aviv
Yeah.
all along the coast.
Or in the Golan.
Oh,
That's
where
where
they
they
go
think
on.
all
Right,
the
exactly.
waterfalls and the
Right.
rivers. Yeah.
But Jerusalem has its springs. That's what
Yeah,
it has,
for sure.
right? And so what I always thought was very cool is where does this water come from? You sort of think about it as like, oh, it's coming up from the ground, but
Yeah.
we learned early on that that's not what happens with these springs.
Right.
Actually, the springs is rainwater that is sort of percolating in the ground,
Yeah.
and when it hits a layer of rock that it can't go any further, it starts going sideways until it
Right.
finds a weak point in the rock in the
Yeah.
mountain, and then it just sort of bursts out, almost like
Right. So
magical.
it's really like gathered rain and snow that just sort of sits underground and then
Right?
flows out in one specific spot.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
it's
even
super, I mean, it's super
so
clean.
clear, so yeah,
So,
yeah, and even though it hasn't rained at this point in months, right? So the water is still flowing. I mean,
yeah.
it's not like it. There's no sitting water here. The water is constantly
And like,
flowing.
what percentage of the time would you say the source of the spring is in a cave? Because it feels like almost always.
Yeah,
Not
right,
always, because some of the springs on this trail specifically seem to come from a pool underneath.
right.
But
I think ultimately they
the-
always have to come
from
yeah,
underground.
from a
Yeah.
layer that doesn't allow the water to
Yeah.
go anymore. So I mean, it's just so interesting to be here to get that insight into how the springs of Jerusalem work. Not,
Yeah.
not the holy sites, and not the what everybody, not even the hiking trails, but this Jerusalem has a springs character as well,
And I
and we get
think,
to see it over here.
you don't usually see important cities going up in places where there is no water.
Very little
I
water,
think
right?
part of what's allowed Jerusalem to survive historically has been the springs.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there's that one, I think it's right in the old city. What's
That's
it called?
Silwan. Yeah.
I don't think that's what it's
Silwan
called.
is the
That's
is
not what it's
no,
called. Some like Siloam pools or something similar to that.
right?
But yeah. But that's like the holy pool right there in Ir David.
Right, right,
And also, there's a lot of springs nearby in Gush Etzion.
right.
And we've
That
talked about,
fed,
how they built sort of channels to bring the water into Jerusalem
to the
towards
Temple
the
Mount.
exactly.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
like in ancient times, having these sort of springs, as people have heard of wells and cisterns and things like that, that's what
Yeah.
allowed the local populations to sustain themselves and their
Yeah.
agriculture.
Right. Especially in a land where it doesn't rain all year round.
Exactly.
In
Exactly.
fact, rains only a few months. So,
Yeah.
whenever we come to a place like this, it gives us, like a opportunity to meet historical figures or people who, have been here, and sometimes you don't even realize how they fit in.
Right.
Ein Sapir is the name. Who gives much thought to that? Or we're right next to, like you said, we're right next to the Moshav Ein Sapir, so that's why this is called Ein Sapir.
Yeah.
So like, why is it called Ein Sapir? So really an amazing story, So there was a actual rabbi who lived in the 19th century, right, 1800s, and was born in Russia. Made Aliyah, moved to Israel when he was a child. And long story short, because he had a fascinating life, basically he was sent on a fundraising mission. Okay, when he was older, of all places, he was sent to India and Australia
Okay.
to raise money to build the Chorva synagogue in the old city.
Uh-huh.
But listen to what happened. He's on the boat, he's headed out, right? And his money gets stolen. And so they chuck him off the boat. Meaning they're on their way, they're making port stops, and the next port he didn't have money to continue, and they just throw him off.
It wasn't like a Jonah situation that they threw right into the water.
Not that, thankfully. And he finds himself in Yemen.
Okay.
And he begins this, years of traveling and wandering, where he, quote unquote, discovers the Jewry of Yemen.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to Indonesia. He does end up in India and Australia, and he has this fabulous life. But when he's in Yemen, he starts to document Yemenis Jews and their history. Yemenite, yeah, and their history. And when he finally does make his way back to Israel, he writes a book called Ein Sapir, which is all about his travels.
Okay.
But the thing is that around 1950, when Yemeni Jews came, Yemenite Jews came to uh, came to set up this moshav.
Okay.
They named it after him.
Wow.
Yeah,
What a
exactly.
fascinating
Yeah. It's an
story.
amazing, really an amazing story. He's one of the first people to
Why was
alert the
his book
world
called Ein Sapir?
that because his name, so I forgot to mention his name. His name was Rav Yaakov Halevi Sapir.
And I always thought, and you have something more to add on
Yeah,
that story, but I always coming here to this cave,
yeah.
I just think Sapir,
Sapphire.
sapphire. Clearly, it had to do with the color of the
The
water
color of the
here.
water,
'Cause
yeah.
it's like this turquoise, green, blue.
Yeah,
Really amazing,
yeah.
but has nothing to do with
It
that.
doesn't have to do it, does it? Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe it's that also. So he was one of the first people to alert the world about the Cairo Geniza, right? He studied the Aleppo Codex. He actually wrote his very own version of Igeret Teiman, right, where he wrote to the Yemenite, thank you, Yemenite Jews that
You heard me correcting you
yes,
without
yeah,
me even saying it. I like
about
this Yemenis thing though.
about the false Messiah, right? So he had a super interesting life, and ultimately, when the community was set up, so it was named to as a sort of like a memory of this book was one of the first that had documented
Wow.
that history. So yeah,
So
so
cool.
just
So much history.
yeah, exactly,
It's like you
and
never even know what you're stumbling upon when
right,
you're here.
yeah,
Everything has so much meaning,
right,
so many layers of meaning that you
exactly.
don't even realize.
And if you just sort of like clear away the weeds a little bit, like
Yeah,
there's just
not that
a
hard.
richness that could be found. So that's what I really enjoyed. Like obviously he didn't live here, but it was named after him. So really an amazing place. I hope that we're able to give sort of at least in the video to give. I mean, our view in is like to this like amazingly beautiful cave that gets darker and darker the further that you go and narrower.
Yeah,
It's really
super cool.
fantastic. So it's a beautiful place, especially in the summertime. Come visit, well worth it.
Yeah. I think also, something that people who don't live in Israel might not be as familiar with is the whole Israeli tradition of like spending time at these spring pools.
Right.
Like this is a highly popular summer activity, which is why we're here so early. I
Exactly.
mean,
Get here early. Right.
we're always absolutely sure that everything's going to be packed, but on a random Thursday morning at 6:30, 7 a.m., turns out there's nobody here. But yeah, this is something that, if you come here on a Friday or later in the afternoon, you're going to see teenagers here, people here
Right.
chilling out,
Yep.
making their cafe chachol right here, or drinking beer if it's late enough, or maybe not late enough, playing sheshbesh,
You're gonna
doing
get the
your thing.
full experience, the full
Exactly, but
Israel
it's
experience.
like the way to keep cool in the summertime
Yeah.
here. Like community pools,
Mhm.
not much of a thing. Like they exist, but that's not
Right.
not the main thing that people
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And it's fun, once you get into it, you bring your food. It's a chill vibe. You go in, you go out, you cool down. But yeah, this is I think it's a little bit like there's a little bit of a cultural divide, but like, if you want to do the real Israeli thing, come to a
Yeah.
spring pool, come hang out.
And there are some beautiful ones.
Yeah.
So
And I just want to add also like the Springs Trail, which we were talking about before. Obviously, I've written about it on the website like numerous times, many different ways you could do it. I think the ideal time of year for it is really May, because then you'll get all the pools full and clear. As the summer wears on, some of them dry out.
this one does
This
not.
one does
This one
not.
stays beautiful.
This one stays beautiful, and some of them stay full
Right,
year round.
right.
There's at least 3 on the short part of the Springs Trail that stay full year round.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a nice place to come cool off,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
for a little hike. It's also really beautiful in that area. It leaves from Yad Kennedy,
Right.
and there's just a really beautiful picnic area at the beginning in a forest. Beautiful views around Jerusalem, beautiful things growing. It's just it's a
Yeah.
nice trail, easy trail for people who are visiting really any time of year. And for locals, just a nice way to get out and get some fresh air and see what like classic Jerusalem mountain scenery really looks like.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about it is that in here it gives that darkish feel.
Yeah.
And you go out, it's bright, and what opens up.
Yeah, it's so gorgeous. We actually considered filming outside.
Yeah.
Because it's like vineyards and mountains and
Exactly.
early morning light.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. Exactly.
We had to come in here.
So it's like you really get from this area, you get that mountain feeling.
Yeah.
And the vineyards of, the Jerusalem hills are there.
Right.
It's just spectacular.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Highly recommended.
Definitely
Come
do the Springs Trail.
feed the fish with your kids.
Thanks for listening to Rooted in Israel. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone else who loves Israel. You can find me on Instagram at Hiking the Holy Land and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.